Okay, so today we're going to talk about the distributive property. So the distributive property tells me that if I have something outside of a grouping of parentheses, okay, so this says, this A touches that parentheses. So that is an understood multiplication right here. Okay, so that's an understood multiplication right there. Okay, so what the distributive property tells me is that I can remove my parentheses by multiplying A times B and A times C. So distribute that A, which distribute means to multiply. Okay, so remove parentheses by multiplying I'm sorry, multiplying A times everything inside that parentheses. Okay, so that means what we'll say is that we'll say A times B plus A times C. Okay, so if I wanted to simplify 2 times x minus 6. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to simplify this by multiplying everything by 2. So I'm going to say 2 times x minus 2 times 6. So that's going to be a 2x minus a 12. Okay, so what if I had a negative 2 times 3x plus, 2y minus 5 here. Okay, the negative on the outside is going to change the signs on the inside. So I'm going to say negative 2 times 3. So negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. So it's going to be a negative 6x. And negative 2 times a positive 2y is going to be a negative, which is a minus 4y. And then negative 2 times a negative 5, which is a positive 10. Okay. Alrighty. So let's use the distributive property to simplify our algebraic expressions. Okay. Okay, so if I wanted to simplify this algebraic expression, the first thing I would do is distribute our number that's on the outside. Okay, so right here I'm going to say 4 times x, which is a 4x, 4 times negative 5, which is a minus a 20. Then I'm going to say 2 times 3x, which will be a positive 6x. And 2 times 2, which is a positive 4. And now, I'm going to combine my like terms. So, combine my like terms, so I've got a 4x plus a 6x, which gives me a 10x. Okay. And then, I have a negative 20 plus a 4, which is a minus 16. Alright, let's do another one. Alright, y'all try to do this one for me. Pause the video if you need to. Okay, so for this one, I want to simplify. I'm going to say 1/2 times 2x minus 4 plus a 3x. Okay, so I'm going to say 1/2 times a 2x. So that means that I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 2 over 1. Okay, and then I'm going to say 1/2 times 4 over 1. And I stop right there where that parentheses ends. So 1/2 times 2, so that will be a 2 over 2, which is just a 1x, right? 1/2 times 4 is going to be a 4 over a 2, which is just going to be a negative 2. And then now we will combine our like terms. So 1x plus a 3x is going to be a 4x. Alright, let's do some more. So, pause the video if you need to, try these out, and then you can watch me do them. Okay? Alright, so here we've got x minus 3 times 2x minus 7. So order of operations tell me I'm going to do what's in parentheses first. So I need to multiply first. So I need to say negative 3 times 2x, which would be a minus 6x. And negative 3 times a negative 7, which is a negative times a negative is a positive 21. Combine my like terms, so x minus a 6x will be a minus 5x. Okay? Just remember that coefficient on x is an understood 1 right there. Okay? What about number 4 here? 7x minus a 1/3 times 9x plus a 12. So that means I'm going to remove my parentheses by distributing. So I'm going to say a negative 1/3 times a 9x. A negative times a positive becomes a negative 1/3 times 12. So this is 9 over 1. So this will be 7x minus a 9 over 3. And then minus a 12 over 3. So this is going to simplify to 7x minus 3x minus a 4. Combine your like terms, so 7x minus a 3x will be a 4x. Okay, let's try a few more. So here, we want to simplify. So we'll say 2/5 times 10x. So we'll say 2/5 times 10x. So it's like 10 over 1. 2/5 times a negative 1/3. Okay. So when you multiply, so 2 times 10 gives you a 20 over 5. And then this will be 2 over 15. 20 divided by 5 will be a 4x, and minus 2 over 15. Can't simplify that any. There's my answer. Okay, what about number 6 as well? So we'll say 1/2 times 3/4. So 1/2 times 3/4 will multiply. Minus 1/2 times 16. So it will be a negative. And then we'll say plus 1/2 times 3/2 plus 1/2 times 4. Okay, so here we'll say 3 over 8x. And here 1/2 times 16, so that's going to be an 8. And then we'll have 3/4 x. And then 1/2 times 4 over 1 will be a positive 2. Okay, combine your like terms here. Okay, so to combine those right there, our x's, we need to get a common denominator. Okay, so I've got 3/8 plus a 3/4 x. Well, what is my common denominator there? It's going to be an 8. Good job. Okay, so the first fraction you don't have to do anything to, but the second fraction I am going to need to multiply it by something. So what did I need to multiply 4 by to get 8? A 2, so I need to multiply the numerator by 2. I just multiplied that fraction by a 1. 2 over 2 is a 1. Okay, so 3 times 2 gives me a 6. Okay, and then over here, a -8 plus a 2 will be a minus a 6. Okay, oops, I didn't mean to do the same color there when I was highlighting. Let's try again. Sorry. Okay, so 3/8 plus a 6/8 will be a 9/8. So my answer here will be 9/8 x minus a 6. Okay, so let's do some word problems and just some thinking problems. So if I said subtract 3x minus 7 from x minus 10, okay? So I'm going to take 3x minus 7, I'm going to subtract it from that x minus 10. So that means whatever's after the from, I'm going to put in the front. So I'm going to say x minus 10, and I'm going to subtract this whole 3x minus 7. So I'm going to put that in parentheses because I'm taking the whole thing away from x minus 10. So that means that I would say x minus 10 minus a 3x and a plus a 7. Now, combine like terms. So we'll have x minus a 3x, which would be a 2x, and then negative 10 plus a 7, which will be a minus a 3. Okay, what about here? If I wanted to find the perimeter of the rectangle, remember the perimeter is all the sides added together. Okay, also you need to note that the perimeter, okay, across from each of the rectangle's sides, they are equivalent. So that side would be 2x, and then this top side would be 5x plus a 1. So the perimeter here would be add up all the sides. So 5x plus 1 plus 2x plus 5x plus 1 plus a 2x. Okay, combine all your like terms. 5x plus 2x, 7, 14x, and then combine word constants. A 1 plus a 1, which will be a 2. So the perimeter here is going to be 14x plus a 2. Okay? Alright, so that's algebraic expressions, simplifying them using the distributive property.